So I want to talk about how to write an annotation and what is an annotated bibliography. So for me, an annotated bibliography are the following things. An annotated bibliography has for each of your sources an MLA citation and then an annotation. These three things are what the annotation has in them. So an annotation, right, is a hefty paragraph about the work. It includes a description/summary of the work, an evaluation of the work, and commentary on how the work fits within your project. So the easiest thing for you is the MLA citation. You can consult Purdue Online Writing Lab or RefWorks. RefWorks is ASU's citation manager, if you will. There's definitely a bunch of different ways to use it, and you'll have to go through some of the tutorials with it, but it's definitely a helpful resource. The next thing that goes in an annotation is the summary or description of the work. This is the simplest thing for students, is to summarize the work. Main points, key players, main things said in the argument or the article. So this is something that I wrote, right? So you see the citation in MLA format, and then the summary is right there. I highlighted the main purpose, main point, description. So that's helpful. So that's the first part of an annotation. Second part is an evaluation of the source. Think about credibility. So I need you to tell me why you decided the source was credible enough. And you need to be specific. So 1 to 2 sentences about this. You can't just say, it was a published book and it's credible. That's not specific enough. I give 5 examples. Look up the author's credentials. Say something about that. Say something about the data or research into the article or the book. Say something about the stakeholder or community voices where the source comes from. So maybe the evaluation is that it's credible because it represents a community's voice. So maybe, again, the NRA website is credible because you're looking at the information as their community voice. I said if the source is over 10 years, you need to explain why it is still credible. And I'm going to bring you back to the CREP test. So remember this. I know I talked about it in one of my previous videos in terms of websites, but it's also useful for scholarly journal articles. Again, don't just tell me like it's credible because it's a scholarly journal article. Tell me why. Does it have a really good author? Does it have really good data or research? And give specific statements. This is one of the ways where students lose points, is they either don't include these next 2 parts, the evaluation or the evaluation of the source, or they just say something really general. So they say, this is a published author. So do your homework here. The final thing that this needs to have is a contextualization of the source for your purpose. You need to tell me how you're going to use the source for your research. Every source is used differently by different researchers. So I need you to tell me what purpose this source fills for you. Does it represent a specific stakeholder? Does it give you more context? Does it explain a key event? Does it represent a specific position on the event? Does it teach you something about the critical situation? Remember, be specific. Again, don't just say the source is useful for me because it represents a stakeholder. Which stakeholder and what info, okay? I need you to be very specific that this is the part where you say this is a useful source for me. So just returning to this as an overview or as a going back, every annotation has citation, description or summary of the work, it has an evaluation of the work, and it has commentary on how this work fits within your project. Like I said, missing these two are the easy parts for students. A lot of my students miss the bottom two, and this is where, like, that's half of an annotation. So if you fail to put those two on your annotations, right, like that's half. That's a big chunk of your grade there. So keep that in mind.